Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, guys, the Toronto Maple Leafs have made a move on the Sunday, the day before the trade deadline, bringing in veteran captain of the Columbus Blue Jackets, Nick Foligno, for a first and two fourth-round picks. You can't justify bumping Zach Hyman out of the top six without acquiring someone who is just as good offensively, if not better. And the only player on the open market that makes sense right now, who is better offensively than Zach Hyman, is Taylor Hall. But the problem with Taylor Hall is that Buffalo doesn't get to choose where this guy gets traded to. Taylor Hall has a full no-move clause. And Kyle Dubas and the Toronto Maple Leafs cannot afford to play the waiting game right now, waiting for the Buffalo Sabres to get their final offers in, waiting for Taylor Hall to decide where he wants to go to. Because if they play the waiting game and Taylor Hall decides, it's better for me if I get traded somewhere where they can afford to offer me a contract extension, that is not the Toronto Maple Leafs. And if you play that waiting game and Hall doesn't pick you, well, then Nick Foligno's off the board, Taylor Hall's off the board, David Savard's already off the board, John Merrill's already off the board. What's left? And acquiring a player who is as formidable as Nick Foligno is defensively, this allows you not to worry about Zach Hyman playing in your bottom six. You can leave him in the top six, and you can let him play either with John Tavares or Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Nick Foligno is a guy who puts up defensive numbers against top-notch quality competition, playing first-line minutes on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Nick Foligno is not playing anywhere close to first-line minutes on the Toronto Maple Leafs. You're not asking him to play offense. You're asking him to play defense and defense only. 5-on-5. The penalty kill. You're asking him to shut things down, and Nick Foligno can do that. And it's not like Nick Foligno was holding the Columbus Blue Jackets back from scoring any goals this year. If you're looking at them with him on the ice and without him on the ice at 5-on-5, they're relatively even. They're just not a good offensive team. The Columbus Blue Jackets are a team that prioritize defense over offense, and Nick Foligno is one of their most trusted players, and the Columbus Blue Jackets are a better defensive team when he is on the ice than they are without him. A first-round pick is a lot to pay for Nick Foligno. It's probably a bit too much, and you can fairly criticize Kyle Dubas for it. But if you're looking at the raw skills that he brings to the table, he's flexible in the sense that he can play both wings and even center if you needed him to. He's a very strong forechecking forward, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are a very strong forechecking team. So they're adding to a strength. But they're also adding to a weakness in picking up a player who's very good defensively. I don't love it, but I can't hate it at the same time. And I think what is going to make me love it is watching Nick Foligno play for the Toronto Maple Leafs in a Toronto Maple Leafs uniform. Watching him in a Maple Leafs uniform do the things that he does best. Because I have no doubt in my mind that the coaching staff and the front office is going to put him in a position to succeed. I think I am going to grow to appreciate this trade, especially once the whistles start to get put away in the playoffs. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the Toronto Maple Leafs are done adding after acquiring Nick Foligno. Now, once William Nylander comes back, there will need to be a decision made on guys like Wayne Simmons and Joe Thornton. One of them is going to have to come out of the lineup. And then when Riley Nash is able to return in the playoffs, someone else will have to come out of the lineup. And depth is not a bad thing. It's not a problem. But it is a decision that's going to have to be made. If the Toronto Maple Leafs wanted to acquire another player, I can't imagine them acquiring another forward without subtracting someone off of this roster. But if they wanted to acquire another goalie, let's say, if they wanted to acquire another defenseman, maybe, they do still have cap space to pull off that move. In regards to how much cap space the Toronto Maple Leafs have remaining right now, it's $3.492 million, but that's with Alexander Barabanov on the roster. Once William Nylander comes back, which is going to be relatively soon, you can send him down, and that goes up to $4.417 million. But if Anderson were to come back off of LTIR, you would send Michael Hutchinson down at that point, and that would bring them to $5.142 million if they didn't make any more trades. Anderson comes back, you subtract $5 million from that, they still have $142,553 left over. But let's say the Toronto Maple Leafs wanted to acquire someone else making about $3 million against the cap right now. If they got the original team to retain 50%, that'd be $1.5 million. If they got a second team to retain 50% like they did in the Nick Foligno trade, that would be $750,000 in cap space required for that player who has a cap hit of $3 million. The $842,553 number to the left of that is how much cap space the Maple Leafs would have if Frederick Anderson came back before the end of the season and they placed Jason Spezza on waivers. And the interesting thing about that is that they've already placed Jason Spezza on waivers this year, and he basically told teams, if you claim me, I'm going to retire because I want to stay in Toronto. So if they do it again, there's very, very low risk chance of losing him. You more than likely don't. I'm confident in that. And they don't lose anybody to waivers, and they don't have to give up anyone off of their roster in this hypothetical trade for a player who makes $3 million against the cap. Frederick Anderson has barely skated since being injured. He's not just going to step right back into the NHL. I have no doubt in my mind that Frederick Anderson is going to be sent to the Toronto Marlies on an LTIR conditioning stint just to get him back up to speed. And that can take anywhere between 6 days, 3 games, and if he's not ready after that, wink wink, nudge nudge, they can request an extra 2 games. And since he's barely skated, he's going to have to do conditioning just to be ready for the conditioning stint. And in the case of Nikita Soshnikov here, he was on LTIR, was sent to the Marlies on an LTIR conditioning stint, absolutely ripped it up, and then just went back on LTIR for about a month before being traded to the St. Louis Blues. If you don't think that the Maple Leafs are going to pull shenanigans like that, you're wrong, because they've done it in the past and the stakes are a lot higher this time around. The one thing that the Nick Foligno trade does not tell us is whether or not the Maple Leafs know if Frederick Anderson is coming back before the end of the year or if he's going to stay on LTIR and come back in the playoffs. Because they can still navigate around it like we just showed. We have not reached the point of no return. But if you want my opinion, I don't think that the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to have to worry about doing the Jason Spezza thing or any shenanigans like that, because I don't think that Frederick Anderson is going to be back between now and the end of the regular season. But let me know down in the comment section what you think of the Nick Foligno trade, if you love it or if you hate it. Let me know what you think is going to happen with Frederick Anderson. Does he come back? Does he stay on LTIR? Let me know what you think of the LTIR conditioning stint, because that's an idea that I floated in yesterday's video as well. And also, just let me know how you're doing down in the comments section as well. I'm doing quite well. I hope that you guys are too. So make sure to like the video if you did like it and subscribe for more, because more is always on the way. And guys, remember, the Toronto Maple Leafs are still first in the NHL.